Boom, ba bum, 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 bum. I'm going down to YouTube. Do, 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 do. Boop, 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 boop. I'm going down to YouTube. And I think I'm actually live. Don't mind me just singing some blues. Okay, you guys, let's talk about how to get an amazing credit score. It is Wednesday, January 24th. I am Kate Moody, the money librarian. I'm here to help smart people stop feeling so dumb about money because you shouldn't. Let's just like get this money thing taken care of. And credit score is a big part of getting your money together. This is all in celebration of my 2024 Money Reboot. It is going to be Monday, January 29th at 2:30 and 6:30 p.m. Central Time. But you got to sign up. Let me pop that link in the chat. And as I go, you guys, if you have any money questions, pop them in the chat. And like, I'll start with maybe I can and maybe I cannot put it in the chat. Let's see here. Ooh, and give this video a like if you can. That way more people can find it. But I will just, all right. This is not letting me put anything in the chat. That's fun. So anyways, having a bad credit score can cost you thousands of dollars. Having a great credit score can save you thousands of dollars. And it's actually not that hard to have a really good credit score. Like the metrics are pretty easy once you know how the system is set up. So today I'm going to be talking about like, what is a credit score? Why do these things even exist? How do they calculate it? How you can get a great score, and then give you a bunch of tips on how you can improve your score. If I can figure out how YouTube works, maybe I can get myself to be able to actually see the chat and be able to talk in the chat here. I'm so sorry about that. This was working yesterday, and for some reason, it just does not seem to be working right now. Okay, anyways. So, please, once I get that button up and working, once I get the chat working here, I'm gonna put the link, come out to the 2024 Money Reboot, and a credit score. Okay, so you may have heard it referred to as your FICO score, F-I-C-O, not to be confused with your FICO score. FICO score, and it can go up to 850. There are different credit scores out there, but this is the most common one that goes up to 850. It is determined. There are credit reporting agencies that actually create this score for you. And so why does this even exist? The credit score exists because banks and lenders needed a really easy way to know whether or not you were going to pay money back. That's the only thing that a credit score does. A credit score is simply them applying a number to the likelihood that you are going to pay money back. Is this a perfect metric? No, definitely not. But it is a useful one. So with the credit score, I said it goes up to 850. Below 669 is considered fair. And what they mean by that, and I think it's like above like 600 to 669 or so, is fair, meaning they'll probably lend you money, but they're going to charge you a lot of interest for it. 670 to 739 is considered good. They're still going to charge you a lot of money for interest. No, 740 to 799 is considered very good. And at that point, now they're starting to like lower the interest. Like they want to lend you money. So you're getting a much better interest rate. Anything over 800, they want to lend you money. So they are going to give you the lowest interest rate possible. And think about it from the bank's perspective. This makes sense. The bank only cares that they get their money back. So if they know that there is a 99% chance they're going to get their money back from you, of course, they are going to incentivize you to borrow money from them. So they're going to give you a good interest rate. But if they're like, ooh, there's only an 80% chance that we're going to get our money back here, they've got to hedge their bet. They've got to say, all right, the risk is much higher, so we're going to make the reward much higher. And that is when you get a bad interest rate. That's when it costs you a lot of money. Let me give you this example. If you want to buy a $25,000 car and you have excellent credit, maybe you can get like a 6% loan. That means you'll end up paying over 5 years, $29,000. Okay, all right. But if you have a bad score and they're charging you 16% interest, you're going to pay $36,500 for that same $25,000 car. This is why it's so important. And also, now some jobs have been using credit scores to determine whether or not like they should hire you, which is super shady. I do not love that idea. Apartments, like landlords, will use your credit score to determine whether or not you're a good bet. And that kind of makes more sense, at least, because they're just trying to figure out, are they going to get their rent from you every single month? But if you have a bad credit score, it can affect whether or not you get jobs, whether or not you get apartments. So it's more than just the interest rate. All right. You can get your score usually for free from your bank. Most banks offer this as a perk. And if your bank doesn't, check your credit cards. A lot of credit cards offer this as a perk. If neither of them do, you can use a service like Credit Karma, but you know, at that point, like you're giving more information out to third parties. And I just don't love the idea of us giving out more of our information because of data breaches and that kind of thing. Oh, and at this point, I find myself needing to remind you guys that this is all informational and educational, and anything you do is on you. So this is all just, I'm just explaining how this stuff works. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I can see the chat. Oh, there it is. Now I'm able to put in, boop, there we go. There's my link to, I love that. The 2024 Money Reboot is in the chat now. Yay. Okay. So how do they determine what your credit score is? Like, what numbers are they using? Okay. The big part, like more than a third, 35% of your credit score is just, do you pay on time? That's it. Do you pay on time? Right? Another 30% is how much of your available credit are you using? Because what they want to see is that you are using some, but not too much. And that makes sense because people who need money a lot don't have enough money. So the likelihood that they will get their money back is reduced because those people don't have enough money. That's the logic behind their thinking here. So if you're using more than 30% of your available credit, that's going to tank your credit score. They really want to see that you're using the tiniest bit. So just make sure it's not over 30%, but really to increase your credit score, which I'll talk more about increasing your credit score in a minute, but you're going to want to use as little of your available credit as possible. So those two things alone, length of credit or your how much of your available credit you're using and do you pay on time, is 65%. The next 15% will just happen naturally over the course of years, and that's length of credit history. So if you do the first two things, if you pay on time and you don't use too much of your available credit, 80% of your credit score is taken care of right there, and it's going to be amazing. Because length of credit history, so think about it from their perspective. Like if you have two people and all things are equal, except the one person, you can see for 1 year, they have a credit history of 1 year. And they've paid on time. They haven't used too much of their available credit. Okay. The other person has 20 years of credit history. That's just a lot more data to go on. So that person is a safer bet. And remember, the credit score is just trying to figure out, are you a safe bet to loan money to? That's it. That's all the credit score is. So after those three things, then the last 20% is the types of credit that you have. So car loans, home loans, student loans, credit card debt, that kind of thing. They just like to see a mix of different credit for whatever reason. And the last 10% is, are you looking for new money? Because they don't want to lend money to people who are desperate for money. Now, they do usually, depending on the lender, will give you some forgiveness. Like if you're looking to buy a car or a home, obviously you're going to go to a few different lenders to ask, hey, what kind of interest rate can you give me? And they know that, or they should know that. So they should take that into account. But if you're like suddenly applying for a lot of credit cards and maybe a second mortgage and this and that, that is a huge red flag to lenders saying something is going on in this person's life. They don't have enough money. And remember, people who don't have enough money don't pay their bills, or are less likely to pay their bills, I should say, than people who do have plenty of money. Okay. So let's talk about how you get a great credit score. Really, I mean, with the caveat that too many people are living or are working their butts off and not even making a living wage, so that they end up getting into credit card debt just to make ends meet. All you got to do, pay your cards on time, don't use too much of your available credit. That's it. Like I said, never use more than 30% of your available credit. And honestly, try to use as little as possible. Like if you can keep it in the single digits with your credit cards, they love that. Again, because they want to lend money to people who don't need money. And to them, if you're not borrowing a lot of money, and that's really what credit cards are, is you're borrowing money, then that means you don't need much money. So you must have plenty of money. So therefore, you're a safer bet. Okay. So pay on time, whatever you need to do to make sure that you're paying on time. A lot of people say like, ooh, I can't put my credit cards or all of my payments on auto pay because I just don't know. All right, that's fine. Put reminders in your calendar before your due dates. Hey, don't forget, pay this. Put calendar reminders on for the bills that you can trust, that you won't overdraft for. Do put those on auto pay. That's going to help a lot. And just paying on time and keeping the amount of credit that you use low compared to your available credit is going to give you a great credit score. But let's talk about other tips and tricks that you can use right now to improve your credit score. Okay. Because you don't want to use too much of your available credit limit, one way to not use too much of available credit limit is to not use your credit cards too often. But another way to do this is to ask for an increase in your credit limit. Huge caveat here. Know thyself. If you know you're the kind of person who, when you have that extra money available, you're going to use it, you guys, that's not going to be a great option for you. And hey, if anybody's got any questions or comments, pop them in the chat here. Good to see you guys. I am live right now at 3:14 p.m. Central. So like I have a coaching client right now who, after we talked about it for a while, she's actually going to close one of her credit cards because she just said, like, look, I know myself. I'm scared that having this available credit card, I will get myself into debt, and I don't want to get myself into debt. So for her, doing the opposite was important, and that was the right move for her. So again, personal finance is personal. You got to do what's best for you. And of course, this is all informational and educational, but that is one way that you can increase your credit score is by calling your credit card companies and asking for a higher limit if you know that you will not be charging any more per month or any more than you already do. So like if you always spend, let's say $3,000 a month on your credit cards and you've got a $10,000 limit, that's using 30% of your available limit. And credit cards do not like seeing that. But if you call around and you get them to increase limit, and now you got a $20,000 limit, well, you've just reduced the amount of credit that you're using to 15%. That's going to increase your credit score. Okay, so we've got that method. Another method, and I love this one. This isn't so good. If you have some credit cards laying around that you like never use, put one subscription on them, just like one of those $10, $15, $20 like a streaming service that maybe you're using. I love this one. This is so genius. So let's say you're charging $10 for whatever streaming service per month on that one card, then put that card on auto pay, then hide that card, delete it from any apps that it may be on. And all that card does is pay for that one $10 service every single month. And because it's set up to auto pay, then it will pay directly from your bank account to that credit card. So the credit card is getting paid off in full every single month. You're barely using any of the available credit. That's going to make your credit look great. And honestly, in working with so many people, I've seen a lot of people have too many credit cards, and then they're never sure like how much money they're actually spending. So I'm a big proponent of only using maybe one or two credit cards for your daily spending, that kind of thing, because it just makes it so much easier to know how much you're really spending rather than if you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. Because then you never know how much you're really spending. You'd have to add up all those cards, and who does that? Nobody does that. Let's see here. Oh, thank you. Jessica? That's so cute. It says, hey, I've been loving these lives. That's awesome. Come back tomorrow. I'm talking about retirement. I'm answering questions about retirement, just going over like 401k, 403b, that kind of stuff. And then on Friday, I'm actually going to be talking about the money lessons from the fantasy universe of Sarah J. Maas. So if you're a Sarah, because she's coming out with a new book, Crescent City, on Tuesday. So I'm very excited about it. And I've got a question here. Do you have to use a credit card for it to affect your credit positively? Yes. So they need to be able to see that it's actually active. And so if you just have a card and you haven't used it in a year, that's not really going to do anything. I mean, it could increase it just by having that available credit. That's going to help your credit score, but not doing anything with it doesn't help. So that's why that's one of those times when like put a $5, $10 subscription on that card, throw it in a drawer, have it set on auto pay, and that will help your credit score a lot. Oh, good. So I got a comment here. I'll be there. I have a 403b and something's covering that. Almost student loan forgiveness. Oh, I'm so excited for you. That's awesome. Good. Excellent. I will see you tomorrow then. So yeah, make sure to bring your questions for tomorrow or today too. But I'm going to start I'll focus first on any credit score questions now, and then but if you have other money questions and stuff, we can talk about that in a sec. Okay, so put one subscription, other ways to raise your credit score. Put one subscription on the card and auto pay, use it for nothing else. If you don't want to be using credit cards, but you want to increase your credit score, many banks and credit unions offer what's called a credit builder loan. And maybe they came up with a cutesy name at your particular bank or credit union. But if you walk in and say like, look, I want to improve my credit score. Do you have something like a credit builder loan? The way it works is that they will put aside like $1,000 or so into a savings account and pretend like they loaned you $1,000. You don't actually get this money, but you pay it off as if they had loaned you $1,000, and then they report those payments to the credit reporting agencies. And so this increases your credit score because now they have data that shows you are paying these things back on time. These do cost a little bit of money because they'll usually just charge you interest on that, whatever that is. But the little bit of interest that you're charged on this credit builder loan may save you thousands if you're going to go buy a car, a house, that kind of thing, because you'll get a better interest rate on that house or car or whatever it is that you're looking to borrow money for. Another thing to raise your credit score is just beware when closing your credit cards, that when you close credit cards, it's going to lower the amount of available credit. And so that can lower your credit score. So before you close any credit cards, just be aware that that will be a side effect. But you got to do you. Personal finance is personal. So if you want to close a credit card and you've thought about it and that's what's best for you, okay, great. Another way to potentially increase your credit score, check your credit report. Go to annualcreditreport.com. It literally takes 5 minutes. It's so easy to get your credit reports. Look through them, make sure they're accurate, because if your credit report is showing that you aren't paying on time, or God forbid somebody has like taken out a loan, in some other state in your name and isn't paying that loan back, and now it's on your credit report, that is going to ding your credit score. So annualcreditreport.com, I will put that in the chat. That's the only website that the federal government has legally mandated them to give you your credit report. And things have been changing with COVID and whatnot. Before COVID, it used to be you could get one from each of the 3 reporting agencies per year. Then you could get them every week. So who knows? But keep an eye on those credit reports. And another way to increase your credit score, if you rent or for your utilities, and if you're always on time with your rent or paying your utility bills, because those aren't debt, those payments aren't normally reported to the credit reporting agencies. But there's now services that you can have those payments reported to the credit agencies. Of course, if you're not always on time with your rent or your utility payments, do not sign up for this. That will lower your credit score. But if you are always on time with those payments, then that could be a really good idea for you, something to look into, to have your rent, have your utility payments. I forget, I think Experian calls it like Experian Blast or something like that. I don't remember. But let me know if you want me to do a little bit more digging on the actual services themselves. I think there's a few different places that are offering this now. So that's it. Raise your credit score. Always pay on time. Don't use too much of your available credit limit. Never use above more than 30%, but really the least, like if you can get that in the single digits, that's going to be great. Ideas: put a subscription on a credit card and have that be the only thing that one credit card does. Have it set to auto pay, so that way, you pay Netflix from your Visa, and then you pay the Visa from your bank account, and all that is set to automatically happen. So you can just throw it in a drawer and forget about it. Credit builder loan. Ask about a credit builder loan at your bank or credit union. Don't close your cards. Check your credit report for errors, and look into services that will use your payments for things like rent or utilities to increase your credit score. Any other questions you guys have for me? This has been so much fun. Tomorrow I'm going to be talking about retirement at 3 Central, so 4 Eastern. This is all in celebration of the 2024 Money Reboot. It is going to be next Monday, but it's not live. You actually have to go sign up for it. It's going to be through a webinar service. We're going to be actually getting that work done so you can feel accomplished, motivated, and start being in total control over your money. So this is really for all of us out here who have been like, we have great ideas for 2024 money resolutions, and nobody ever cheers you on for it. You don't get the support, and sometimes you have questions, and so that creates roadblocks, and then you don't get the stuff done. The 2024 Money Reboot is for all of us who want to get better with our money, but just need that extra bit of support, motivation, maybe education. It's going to be awesome. It's next Monday, 2:30 and 6:30 Central. I've got 2 sessions, and use that link in the chat. Boop, 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 to sign up for it. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be so much fun. And I mean, nobody ever gives you gold stars as an adult for getting your work done. Wouldn't we all get so much like more of our just life stuff done if somebody gave us a gold star? You went to the dentist, gold star. So that's what it's really going to be. It's just the right amount of education, planning, and getting the work done. It's going to be awesome. Come to the 2024 Money Reboot on Monday. And otherwise, I'm going to go live again tomorrow to talk about retirement. So come back tomorrow, bring your retirement questions. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I'll hang out for, I don't know, 20 more seconds, see if you put any questions in the chat for me right now about increasing your credit score. Once we're done with the live, then this will go up as a regular video too, so you can rewatch. Oop. And let's get this. Okay. All right. Cheers, you smarty pantsas. Bye.